All right, guys. Third time's a charm. Hopefully, we're back. We were in the middle of a MySpace story when we left.
We were in the middle of me telling Ara. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. If there was any.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, and for all the people on Insta, let me just pop off this.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone, go back to
it's crazy tonight. I don't know what's
Bros and Brews podcast. I promise you, this is gonna be the time that we figure it out.
And if we don't, we're not gonna come back.
If it doesn't work, we're coming back next week.
Yes. Yeah.
Ara and Harry are being very weird when we get off air. Very uncomfortable. I feel like we need a week to readjust. No. Okay, everyone on Instagram, pop over to the YouTube. Thank you. Love you guys. Anyways, so yeah. That was my first connection, me messaging. For if any of you are joining us now and didn't join us in the previous two uploads, I was just telling Ara about the time that 22 years ago when I was 12, I messaged him, so proud of him and so happy that there's Armenian comedy on the internet, and I get to show my white friends look at us and look at our jokes, and seeing them laugh and enjoying it and stuff. It was such a big moment. And it's what me and you were talking about off camera, where it's you need Armenians that can show young Armenian men and women, I don't need to follow the traditional path.
Yeah.
I can set my own course. I can do all that. And then one thing I admired about you I want to bring this up again. I brought it off air. Your comedy is always showing Armenians in a positive light.
Thank you, bro.
And you never go for the cheap laugh. You never go for a thing. Other they're great. They were doing what they're doing. I'm not, trying to downplay anyone else. But one thing I really appreciate about you, and one reason why I've always stuck with or been a fan of yours for these 22 years, not once have you done something where I can look and be like, oh, that made Armenians look bad.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you for doing that.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, you got it. I started. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a team effort, everybody.
This hand.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
My God, who do I thank first? I want to thank my agent, Josh Justine. Come on, they're all Jewish. No, so I started in the business in 2004. And this is pre-Kardashian. You guys got to remember this, okay? So nobody knew what a Kardashian was back then.
Back when Armenian girls still had a good reputation.
Yeah, and
pretty much,
basically, and it was tough. It was tough breaking into that market, especially after 9/11 too. And now I'll explain why. We're 3 years removed from 9/11. A lot of Americans still had Islamophobia.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're waging a war with Iraq. And to the average American, they have no clue what an Armenian is.
No.
Okay, so to your point, I felt like a pilgrim going to these comedy clubs and explaining what Armenians were.
Yeah.
So, and my first thing was, and I told my dad this too, and I said, Dad, I don't want to belittle our people.
Bravo.
And he goes, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're smarter than that.
Yeah.
So come up with better jokes. And I'm like, I will. And that's what happened. Now in LA, everybody knows what an Armenian is. So it's easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. So you do shows at Comedy Store, Improv, Laugh Factory, you have a good 10, 15, 20 Armenians on any given night. And then if you have ethnic nights, you have at least 100 of them showing up, which is awesome. It's a very good safety net for a show. But my first break in the business, and I'll never forget this. My boy Sam Tripoli, okay, he's host of the Conspiracy Theory Tinfoil podcast.
Hilarious guy, hilarious comedian.
Sam's very
who's
very
been
funny
on our podcast,
and who's also a guest of Bros and Brews. Sammy saw me one night at the Comedy Store, and he goes, "You're Armenian? So am I." I'm like, "Tripoli?" He goes, "I'm a half." And his mom's Armenian, his dad's Sicilian, and is from Long Island. And he goes, "Hey, I'm doing a comedy show, man. It's an Armenian show. I'll put you on it, and I go, "Okay, cool. When?" He goes, "Oh, next week. It's in the main room." Full, fuck main room. I'm like five shows in. I'm fucking still a green pea. Yeah. And I went up to 400 Armenians, shit the bed. I totally shit the bed. But I never forgot that. with Sam, and a friendship ensued after that. And he's like a big brother to me when it comes to comedy. And he would always say the same thing. He goes, never dumb down your material for the audience.
No.
Never. And I never did. And it's a double-edged sword because sometimes the audience won't understand my fucking joke. I have what I call Dennis Miller-itis, you know? Hey, babe, cha-cha, you know, like, you know, busting out metaphors that nobody fucking understands with 19th century romantic fucking Victorian.
But dude, when you get a Dennis Miller reference, like you understand when you're like, oh, I'm pretty smart.
I love Dennis Miller.
Oh, yeah.
He's very, very astute, you know? His comedy is very smart.
He's the intellectual comedian.
I would say like my favorite comedians, my inspirations actually, I always say this. Dennis Miller was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
George Carlin. I mean, come on. Who doesn't like George Carlin? I mean, the guy's like your drunk uncle ranting at 3 a.m. about everything.
Yeah.
And very insightful. If you actually watch George Carlin's material from 30 years ago, it's relevant today.
Oh, even more relevant
absolutely.
today. Even more relevant
absolutely.
today, yeah.
So he was way ahead of his time. And my other one, actually, 4 of them, actually, is Richard Jenny.
When you're done, I'm going to ask you something.
Okay.
Remind me to ask you
Okay.
this.
Richard Jenny, may he rest in peace, too. Richard Jenny, very funny comic. He actually had very smart material as well. And my last one, Eddie Izzard.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I've met Eddie at least 4 times, and I'm in awe of this man. Okay.
Okay. Let me ask this question, and then we'll get back to you, Matt.
Okay.
Real quick. I just recently saw something online where, because of the Kings of Comedy, Cat Williams was on Shannon Sharp's podcast.
I want to get your take.
So people like all of a sudden they're talking about who are the actual Mount Rushmore Kings of Comedy, the actual 4 that you would put. Hold on a second. I know the guys you listed, you inspired you.
Mount Rushmore.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
We're not saying just a political comic or a comic that inspired you because he touched you personally, but we're like culturally, as far as transcending, transcending the borders where even people that aren't into comics would be affected by them. Who would you list as the top 4? I got my top 4.
I could tell you in a heartbeat. The first one, if he didn't die, he'd have a fucking rock star career. It's Mitch Hedberg.
Now you're talking. I didn't want to get.
He was the voice of a generation.
I get
of
it,
comics.
but that's why I prefaced it by saying, not like relatively.
How many comics are we talking about? 4?
We're talking about 4. The ones that had the most influence, you would say. Like generational.
On comics or generational?
On comics and on you. Like, what like your 4 personal favorite. Like,
no, that's different.
No. He's talking about he's talking about Mount Rushmore.
Yes, I'm talking about Mount Rushmore. If it's your 4 favorites, that's fine. But the 4 that you would say that are the true kings of comedy. I have my 4. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Lenny Bruce.
Okay. I can accept that.
Richard Pryor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But he wasn't always a comic.
Correct.
Yeah.
He worked in construction till he was 40.
Aluminum siding
something. And he was a very funny guy. And we all have friends who are comics.
Yeah.
But the difference between a comic and a comedian is a comic says funny things.
Yeah.
A comedian says things funny.
Yes.
It's a little different.
Yes.
So Rodney made a career out of being funny. He was one of the first ones, and his one-liners were just boom, boom, boom. This guy would go 2 hours just doing one-liners. How do you remember all this? Yeah. And then he would say, I get no respect, and that was a catchphrase. And boom, Johnny Carson, boom, Caddyshack, all this stuff, back to school. Yeah. Man was a legend in the 80s. I watched all his movies. I love him. One of my favorite movies to this day is Easy Money.
Oh, I love Easy Money.
Great movie.
Joe Pesci.
With Joe Pesci,
yes.
One of my favorite scenes is that he's literally running in the park, and Joe Pesci's eating 2 hot dogs with a yoo-hoo, a chocolate yoo-hoo, and he's sitting on the park bench, and he's like, I tell you, Nicky, this is why I'm doing this stuff for my kids, hey, take a look at that guy. There's like a guy in a trench coat with a baby girl bouncing on his left. I tell you, look how he loves this girl. His love, baby. Let me tell you, that's what you do your stuff for your kids. There he is, officer. Hey, what's going on? I'm sitting here minding my business. This girl jumped on my lap. Right? It's hilarious. This is comedy you can't get away with these days, right?
No way.
It was a funny movie, and all his movies were funny.
Yeah.
So if you ask me Mount Rushmore, I will say those 4. And Lenny Bruce was a trailblazer too because of his very avant-garde, cutting-edge comedy.
I completely get your reasoning, but again, you listed comics that comics respect, admire, strive to be like, are influenced by. I'm just saying, as far as society, like because
if you're gonna do that, then I'll make an argument for Bill Cosby.
Absolutely.
He was the poster boy for fatherhood for the better part of 2 decades.
Yeah. Or he would go around and
I would accept
literally
Bill Cosby. I'm talking more mainstream, basically. That's what I was saying.
Oh, mainstream.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
I'll tell you the top 4. I think the ones that
I would love to hear it.
Yeah, here, let's go.
I think these guys influenced comics and transcended the comedy world, and they went above and beyond to the point where people that don't even follow comedians knew who they were and would watch them or would want to see something that they're in. Okay, it's easy. It's Rickles. Okay, it's Eddie Murphy.
See, Eddie Murphy, I consider a clone of Richard Pryor.
I understand.
All the Afro comics from the 80s and 90s.
Pryor started it, and Murphy took it to another level.
Dude, I don't know. Look, I'm not taking anything away from Eddie Murphy.
Hold on, I'm telling you, it's Seinfeld.
Okay.
That's the third guy, and now it's Chappelle. These are the 4 guys. I mean, I'm not even saying they're my favorites. I'm just saying
those are all solid.
Okay,
you can make an argument for each of those.
Aside from Seinfeld TV show, which is iconic television.
Yeah.
Let's not deny that. Larry David's a comic genius. What makes Jerry Seinfeld so special?
I don't know, but he has over $1 billion.
Because of Seinfeld, because of the
He
TV
has
show.
over $1 billion. Which comics do you know that has over
okay,
$1
you know
billion?
what
For the record, Seinfeld was a regional comic before Seinfeld took off. He was a New York comic. He would never come to LA rarely.
They all have their
SNL,
stories. They all have their stories. Yeah, and his story was he did a TV show about nothing.
Well, again, it's Larry David.
Okay, it's Larry David.
That was Larry David.
It's Larry David.
Yeah.
Now, you want to talk about a comic genius? Larry David.
Okay,
Yeah.
we didn't say comic genius. That wasn't my question. My question is, who are the people that anyone would recognize and would say, okay, yeah, these guys are the top
bro, it's
of the
different. It's like different for every. I mean,
absolutely,
all
you'll
the
have your
people both
favorites.
of you
Yeah.
named are all 8 of them. You can make arguments for, he transcended this, or he.
But I don't think Jerry Seinfeld did. Jerry Seinfeld, okay, I'll give him this. He was a pioneer in observational comedy. That's basically it.
Let me just put it to you this way. My dad has never been to a comedy club. He knows who Jerry Seinfeld is.
Of course. And I've never been to a wrestling match, and I know who Hulk Hogan is.
You've never been to a wrestling match?
Well, that's my whole point. You go to Nepal and talk to Sherpas and say,
you're
name me a
making my
wrestler.
point.
Hulk Hogan is going to be the one they're going to mention.
And he would have to be in the wrestling Mount Rushmore.
Because of the television show, Harry. Because the television show.
I'm not saying what the reasons are. I'm not asking you what the reasons are. I'm just saying
okay, you brought this up. I want to hear what would make Jerry Seinfeld a generational talent that actually benefits to society. You brought it up.
Why would he have to benefit to society?
Okay,
I'm just saying the most recognizable.
I don't get it.
Well,
I feel like my 2 older brothers are arguing in the front of the car, and I'm sitting in the back, just like hopefully they don't start punching each other.
Nothing against Jerry Seinfeld, but I just want to know why. He's not even in my top 10 of comics. I don't find him that entertaining.
That's you.
I find him funny when Larry David writes the material.
Guys, these are the best work, and still has a massive effect on comedy. Patrice O'Neal, Dave Attell. You have obviously Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Because right now, as far as keeping up the entire stand-up community,
he's the new George Carlin.
Yes.
He's the new George Carlin. But even, and this is the later argument I'm going to make against LeBron James.
He's got a stronger impact than Carlin did.
100%.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then last one, I would either put like a Louis C.K. or I mean, even as far as effect on comedy, weirdly, I'll even, poor guy, but like even like a Greg Giraldo, like a lot of comedians,
rest in peace,
are like I'm not saying he was like the best or like whatever, but like I was saying like effect on comedy. But I know that number 4 I'd give Louis C.K. because I didn't like the
a lot of scandals.
Oh yeah, I mean,
have plagued comedians' legacies. But I agree with Louis C.K. I think he's a very funny comic.
He's funny. He's not as funny as Burr, but he's funny.
Well, he started family comedy, bro. Louis C.K. was very funny. He was talking about his family.
The point is, there are a lot of funny comedians, and the names I'll throw out, I'm sure you would all agree. You would both agree, but Mount Rushmore is a different level. That's why I'm saying.
Okay, so who's your Mount Rushmore?
I already said. I told you the 4.
Yeah,
you did. Okay,
yeah.
All right. Don Rickles.
It's Rickles, Seinfeld, Eddie Murphy, and Dave Chappelle.
Those are all good.
All time.
They're all time.
I mean, it's the own
And only Chappelle is new. I mean, I would have. Chappelle is like I put him in there because of the effect he's having now, and I think it's going to be long.
Yeah,
lasting.
but the fact that you don't put Richard Pryor up there, you put.
I would have if I didn't have Chappelle.
Yeah.
I would have.
Comedy is the most subjective, one of the most subjective arts. Where
now I'm not saying those are my favorites.
You guys want to hear something funny? If any of these comics started out today, none of them would make it.
No, they'd all be canceled.
And I'll tell you, the
especially
paradigm,
Rickles. Are you kidding me?
The paradigm of comedy has shifted to the point where it's not about being funny anymore. No. It's about being marketable. And the first thing agencies do is look at your social media. That's the sad reality. So you can do these lowbrow videos for 10, 15 seconds, get 100,000 followers. All of a sudden you have an agent and you have a career. Like the business is tainted because of social media. Yeah. Back in the day, you would cut your teeth. I would do 4 or 5 shows a week. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes 2 shows a night, going club to club to club just to fucking get my name out there.
Yeah.
And social media comes out and people do videos.
No, I know, man. Well, like this is the thing.
You know what? Sorry to cut you off.
No,
but people are doing videos because that's what sells right now. Also, the attention span of people is so limited. They went from doing like 2-minute videos, 3-minute videos to now they're doing 30-second videos. It's like we're living in a time where people don't sit down and watch. Like I sit down and watch full comedy specials. Like I'll put an hour and a half aside because I hear Chappelle has a new comedy special or I hear Bill Burr has something out. These guys don't do that. So all they do is they just scroll through, their feed. So comedians and everyone else and social media influencers, whatever, everyone's just putting out these damn little videos. And I'm not hip to it yet. I'll be honest.
The thing is this, and I think Ara will hopefully agree with me on this being an actual comedian. The problem with social media is this. When you would go see a comic back in the day before the internet, you were seeing an act for the most part that was crafted over a long period of time.
That's right.
That was tested in front of different audiences, groups. Okay, that's this like each individual word is thought of and should I say but instead of and, or should I do this, that, and whatever. And the thing is, when you went and saw comedy back in the day, you saw someone's craft, essentially what they had built. The problem with the internet is every comedian, I think, feels like they need to have a new special or something funny to say every day.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that's why you see so many people that you thought were like once funny on a video on the internet, and you're like, dude, this guy's an idiot. Like,
that leads me into my next question, and hold your thought. We've seen you've been in clubs, and so have I, because I've been with you a bunch of times, and I also have been with other comedians as far as being their DJ. I've been in a lot of clubs, seen a lot of comics. I'm going to ask you this question, and then I'll give my answer last. I'm going to ask both of you. Who is the comic that you've seen live that's made you laugh the most? Can you remember that?
Yeah. Bob Kelly, Robert Kelly.
Oh, he's good.
Dov Davidoff. Dov is a very funny comic. No, this is me personally.
Yeah, you personally. Yeah.
And Sebastian.
Oh, yeah, Sebastian.
I mean, Sebastian, when we would do shows all over town, I would literally leave the store and go to Dublin's and watch him do Ahmed's show, and then go to the Miyagi's and do his show there.
Across the street.
For Jay Davis's show. I mean, I'm going back now, 20 years.
90s,
No, 20s.
Early 2000s.
And Sebastian was just fucking hilarious back then. I mean, one of my favorite jokes he had was the Ross joke, and he never does it anymore, which is a shame, but he's got so much more material now. Yeah. He goes, whatever I can't do his cadence, but he goes, whatever you want to do it, Ross. You could do it, Ross, and, he goes, I went in for jeans. I found them in pottery. What do people do? They check out a jean. They go, this isn't my size. And they chuck it, right? Genius. I mean, it's freaking genius. Another one of my favorite comics that I enjoy watching, Brett Ernst, my good friend Brett Ernst, who's actually kicking ass right now on Cobra Kai. I'm so proud of him. Yeah. Brett's funny. And of course, the Middle Eastern comics. I enjoy them. Maz and Ahmed, Sam, Aaron Cater. I don't even know if Aaron still does comedy anymore, but I actually enjoyed his comedy. Right. He does a very funny Bush, a little exaggerated, but he did a good Bush.
I bet that's popular with all the kids.
Well, it was. I mean, this is the 2000s now. True, I mean, I would do the Bush. Aaron would do the Bush.
Oh, no, the Bush impression made Saturday Night Live watchable for a while. They would
Will Ferrell was he owned Bush. Oh, I mean, it was just hilarious. I remember remember when Katrina broke, and I was doing a show at the Haha that night, and I'm like, and I'm like, fuck, I got to come up with a new Bush joke. So while driving to the club, I'm like, all right, I know what I'm going to fucking say. So I get in front of the crowd, and I'm like, it's sad that Hurricane Katrina, hit New Orleans, and I was proud of Bush. He got in front of that camera, he addressed the nation. I'm proud of him. And I'm like, I'm not proud of him for addressing the nation. It's what you should do as a president. I was proud of him because he didn't mispronounce the word hurricane.
I remember this joke. Yeah, I remember this joke.
I go into character. I go, my fellow Americans, our nation was once again under attack by Hurricane Katrina. Preliminary intelligence suggests she's Russian. Make no mistake, we're going to find her, hunt her, and bring her to justice. It's hilarious because he could have easily said a handkerchief attacked New Orleans. Anything.
Oh, dude.
So it was fun doing Bush. It was fun doing Bush in the 2000s, and then Obama came, and then in the beginning, you really couldn't make fun of the guy.
No,
he's young and hip. He plays basketball. He knows Jay-Z. And then so what joke am I going to do? Well, Obama doing an episode of MTV Cribs. I mean, that joke came out of nowhere, it was hilarious. And Obama's cadence is very, this, and I talk like this, and my fellow Americans, and all that shit. So I love doing the impressions, presidential jokes and stuff, and the characters and stuff. So comedy needs to evolve, and what I've seen now, I forget the Trump. Every comic does Trump. It's failing.
It's played out.
There are so many comics that fail at doing Trump, and I'm like, please, just stop. Stop. Because there's only a select few that could do it. Frank Caliendo nails Trump. Matt Fried.
Matt Friend is
insane. He kills it.
Bro.
He kills it as Trump.
If you don't see him on the screen, you're just hearing him.
Yeah, it sounds just like Trump. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, one of our friends, Andrew's brother, he does an amazing Trump. He does it with Lori Tatulian. It's fantastic, But let me just say, amazing. I can't even do Trump. That's why I never did Trump. It's a very.
You got the hands down.
I got the hands. Little bit big, little small. I don't know. You just got to go into the New York, Brooklyn thing. Do a lot of the. I can't. I just never practiced Trump, right? So I just never did. But my favorite one was always doing Ronald Reagan. Ronnie, you just start shaking your head and raise your mother and I always like to walk out on the porch.
Wrong again.
That's right. Welcome to Morning in America. Let me call Mikhail. And I just, that's basically it. Of course, in the 90s, we had a little bit of the I'm Bob Dole, and all that stuff. But that's basically, where comedy went, where we were at, because it was very political. The 2000s, I think, were very political. We had a lot of wars.
But it was political in the sense that comics were being political to be funny.
Yes.
They weren't being political to give you a message, to change how you think, or to
that was a big
you
issue.
On a deep way. No, they were just like, what's funny? Let me just do what's funny.
They would make fun of both sides.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
You know who I respect the most?
That's the first rule of comedy, by the way.
Yes.
If you're going to make fun of other people, you make fun of yourself first.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you open it up to everybody. Okay. But nobody does that anymore. They just Republicans suck. Yeah. Oh my God. Give her a Netflix special.
I cannot stand. I'm sorry if you know them, if you guys run in the same circles, but the one reason why I hate like Kimmel or Colbert and all these.
They're all compromised globalists.
Dude, I watched Jay Leno
for the establishment.
100, and they don't even hide it. When I watched Jay Leno, my parents every night, it was like their tradition. We watched Jay Leno in this house. My mom thought Letterman was too mean, and like, she's like, I don't think he's funny. He's too mean to his like.
Letterman's a lip too, by the way. But,
Letterman,
he wasn't nearly he wasn't anywhere in a mile.
No, he was a liberal, but he would punch down.
Yeah.
Like he would make fun of his interns. Yes. He would like make fun of people. He didn't feel like, I'm attacking this person or making them. No, he was just like, what's funny, and you kind of knew he was liberal. Oh, thank you, buddy. Mm-hmm. But the thing is this: one thing I love and respect about Jay Leno, and to answer your question, one of the hardest I've laughed about a joke is his dog in New York joke.
Yeah,
I don't know that joke.
That's a classic joke.
Me and my chick actually fight about what the punchline is because we were laughing so hard. Neither of us heard it. And to give you a long,
was it part of his monologues at all?
No. Okay,
it's part of his
basically,
stand-up.
Oh, okay.
yeah, and I'm gonna butcher
See,
this.
I haven't seen Jay Leno live stand up, so there you go.
Okay,
That's
so
why
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
butcher this joke. So there's a yard sale, and this guy walks up to a yard sale, and he sees there's a sign by the dog. They're selling the dog. And he walks up and he's like, why are you guys selling this dog? And before the owner could answer, the dog goes, it's because I've traveled too much. I've seen the world. They don't want a dog that can talk, that can see everything,
Right.
that's cultured, that's gone to Europe, that's gone to all over America. They don't want a travel dog and a dog that can talk. And the guy looks at the owner and goes, oh my God, you have a dog that can talk? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, something, and whatever. And he goes, you don't like him because he's well-traveled? Even though he's a talking dog? And the owner looks back to him and goes, this dog's never even been out of New York. Like, I don't even know what the dog is saying. He said it way funnier, I know. I absolutely butchered it. But the joke was, the punchline was, the dog's never left New York.
The dog's a liar.
And like, the dog's a liar. Forget
Got
that
it.
it can talk. Like,
Right.
don't listen to what it says.
Right,
It's not like a thing.
So that's the joke that you've left on.
No, like the way he said it. I mean, obviously, I'm not a comedian, so
No,
I'm
no,
going
I
to
get
butcher
it.
it, and I'm
Yeah,
going to say it in a non-funny way. But the way that he set it up, and I messed up the middle part. But the point, him and Orny Adams actually are the two
Orny Adams
hardest.
is funny for that.
Orny, like he just came out one night. Me and my chick were at the Improv, and the energy and like the anger and the emotion, and like, I mean, obviously he's being funny, but it was just like one of the best shows I've ever seen. So if you want to go to definitely check out Orny Adams live.
Orny Adams is very good.
Yeah, live is the most important part. But back to this, the one thing that I will say, and this is one thing that affects the Armenian community too, is we have a lot of people now doing comedy in the Armenian community, obviously in America, not in the Armenian community, that they're looking at what is the one way I can downplay us or make us look bad or make us look stupid for the cheap laugh. And again, it's like the good comedians now, the Colin Quinns, that's one thing I respect about Colin Quinn. He could talk about any group, any people, and even though he's making fun of them, there's still like a positive undertone there where he's showing you like, oh, I know about this culture, I know what we're doing here. A lot of Armenian comedians, unfortunately, and you guys can all go and do your own research. Some of them just want to make us look bad, and that's like always been my biggest anger and frustration with Armenian comedy, and why I love you so much is
Thanks, buddy.
you don't what is it called, delve into that BS.
Okay.
Well, in 2000, when you do shows in LA, New York, Montreal, Toronto, and stuff, a lot of Armenians out there. Okay, you go do shows in the Midwest, pre-Kardashian, nobody knew what a fucking Armenian was. Okay, and I'm going out there in 10 minutes. I had a drunk hick one night come and say, "What the hell are you, a Jew or an Arab?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's a good question. I guess Armenians would probably be the bastard love child if the Jews and Arabs had a night of drunken, regrettable sex.
Yeah.
Because we share similarities with both races.
yeah.
I mean, we have the, business savvy of the Jews and we have the extravagant spending of the fucking Arabs.
Yeah, I mean,
and right then the audience started laughing and I'm like, okay, there you go. I got you in. He goes, where's Armenia? Is it about Poland? Not even close, This is what I was trying to convey to people.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. I mean, the typical Midwesterner knew an Armenian. You know who it was? Andre Agassi and Gary Apremian.
Sure, yeah.
An Arab Parsegian. Notre Dame coach.
Arab
Every time
Parsegian,
somebody,
yeah.
you're Armenian? You're related to Arab Parsegian? How the fuck am I going to be related to Arab Parsegian?
Well,
That's
you have
their
the
guy.
same first name, don't you?
Yeah.
That's her guy. Funny story. When my dad was building, my dad's a podiatrist. He's a foot doctor. And when he was building a medical center in northern Arizona, the building that he was building, he wanted to put a copper dome on it.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, oh yeah, it's going to look nice.
No, yeah.
And him and his, he had
Like
a business
Notre
partner
Dame.
in it. And his business partner, exactly. So just like Ara. So him and his Persian business partner, and this is like small town Arizona, you know what I mean? They're building it and they put the dome on it. And he's there one day just like, seeing the progress and what's going on. And a truck rolled up and 3 good old boys hopped out. Yeah. And they walk up to my dad and they go, "Sir, Dr. Nazarian, we know you're a doctor. You're very respected in this town and we love you and whatever, we support you, but we're not letting you build a mosque in this town."
God.
My dad looks at him and goes,
You see what I mean?
"It's a medical center. It's not a," and I go, "What's that dome for?"
Your dad didn't he didn't go into the whole, we're the first Christian nation.
I've done that at shows, by the way. I start educating. I'm like, we're the first Christian nation in the history of civilization, pal.
Dude, no, I went into that Because
I've
9/11.
done that too. That's what I mean.
Oh, we all did.
We've all
In
done it, yeah.
5th grade, for me, 9/11 happened. And then by 7th grade, me and my friends at recess were playing a game called Terrorist Ball. Oh, God. Where me and one of my friends,
I hope
Chris,
we don't get flagged for that word.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, seriously, YouTube. But yeah, it's where me and my friend Chris, who's brown, who's South American, we would stand on one side and all the white kids would stand, and we would just launch dodgeballs at each other. And never once did I think this is bullying. We were like, oh, hell yeah, dude, we get to fight.
And
You know
think
what I
about
mean?
it. What grade did you say?
The 5th grade when 9/11 happened.
The kids are probably like 3'4", and he's like a 6 foot.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like, I get why they teamed up. But like,
That is like what my son's gonna be in the next couple of years, dude. He towers over his classmates. It's
bro, he
hilarious.
ran out here to say hi, and I'm like, I saw baby pictures of
he's
this
tall,
kid like 2 years
dude.
ago. Now he's like
Yeah.
running around here like a grown
tall,
man.
dude. He's tall.
So that's hilarious.
Anyway, my favorite or the funniest comedian I've ever seen live, believe it or not, Howie Mandel.
Yeah, Howie's
Really?
funny.
Hilarious,
Howie's funny,
hilarious. I was crying. I was laughing.
Yeah,
so much.
Howie's
And
funny.
He's quick. He you know who's quick? You know Russell's quick.
Yeah.
Howie's quicker. I'm sorry, and I've seen both multiple times.
Yeah.
Bro, I went to his theater show at MGM way back in 2003. I couldn't stop laughing because he told no jokes. He just did crowd work the entire night.
That was Howie's.
yeah.
That was Howie's thing. He was very good with riffing with the audience. My daughter, I introduced her to Howie's World. Bobby's World.
Bobby's World,
And
yeah.
she loves it. This is Bobby. He's Bobby. Yeah, she loves it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is one of Daddy's favorite comedians.
Dude, no, he's great.
I mean, people that watch America's Got Talent or Deal or No Deal, they would have no idea how funny this man is if you see him.
Look, there's other comics that were hilarious in the 80s, and you wouldn't even know it. Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael
one
Keaton
of
was
the
a stand-up.
strongest stand-up
He started
comics.
as a stand-up.
Bob Saget.
Bob Saget.
Bob
literally
Saget was another one.
Has so
And he had
many
a potty
stories
mouth.
of
That's right.
like that was the hilarious thing about him. He would tell this story constantly on any podcast he was on, where he's like, yeah, most of my, not most, but like a lot of people in my audience leave because they came to see. What was it? Family, not Family Man.
Danny Tanner.
Yeah,
What-
Full House.
Full House.
Danny
Thank you. Not
Tanner.
All in Family. Yeah. They came to see Danny Tanner. They didn't know, I'm Bob Saget.
That's
like
right.
I'm completely different. And like
That's
that's the thing that like I get as far as you want to maintain your, but like this is the thing too. This is one thing I didn't like about Bob Saget. You don't have to be dirty to be funny.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I watched one of his
I
specials
agree
once.
with you, but Bob had to because he had such a squeaky clean fucking
Oh,
persona.
yeah. He wanted to
and
fight that.
He
yeah.
wanted to fight it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get that. But I agree with you. Once you start cursing and being dirty, I
It
lost
cheapens
respect.
it. Yeah, there's people who do it well. Chappelle, Louis C.K. Like if they drop an F bomb,
Yeah, it's say it from time to time.
Perfectly.
It's not like a huge part of their show.
That's right.
And like Seinfeld, getting back to Seinfeld, he doesn't curse at all, and I find him very funny.
Yeah. No, honestly, the thing with Seinfeld, I think the reason why a lot of comedians talk shit about him,
He's too successful, man.
not only the success, but it's aggravating. I can see like
He's got the bit of that arrogant.
no, it's a thing of they were like, okay, Bobcat Goldthwait has been on record as like hate or being like, oh, you're too clean or too this, and it infuriated, I think, dirty comics to see a clean comic come up and like move past them.
Right.
And he didn't have to do it to like be edgy. He didn't have to be dark. He didn't have to like scare or like say something controversial. You could literally talk about airplane peanuts.
Yep.
And people would die
Observational
laughing.
comedy. Yeah.
Again,
That's all
I'm
he
going to
did.
hold back my point of if Jerry Seinfeld never had a hit TV show,
He'd just be a
Oh,
very
we would
successful
never
comic.
I wouldn't even think he'd be a successful
Hold on a
comic.
second. He headlined
would not-
Caesars before he had the TV show.
Okay, well, headlining Caesars
There's
doesn't make
huge.
you
Also, you have to remember SNL did a skit about when you were talking about how he was a regional comic. He was so regional.
Yeah.
SNL.
They did a bit on him because he
Yeah.
cut his teeth in New York. He was always at the clubs.
But the
Everybody
thing
knew who he
was-
was.
My bro, he was on the Tonight Show in '82, bro. What are you talking
Well,
about?
bro, no.
He didn't
When
get-
they
he
did
didn't
that-
get Seinfeld until '89.
No, but when he did those skits on SNL, or when they did the skits about his comedy, more than half of America had no
Didn't
clue
get
what the
it.
hell,
Yeah, I
like
get what you're
what is this
Exactly.
like, thing that's
I'm
happening.
glad you brought up the Tonight Show because in 2005, I'm sitting with Kevin James, and Kevin goes, "Man," he goes, "in my day," and he literally said this, and he's so right. in my day, if you did the Tonight Show, you
made it.
made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, how old are you? I just started shitting on him. But I love Kevin. But he's right. And this was during the beginning of social media. And he
2005,
saw that too. He's like, dude, nowadays you don't even need to do Tonight Show to fucking make it.
Now you really don't have to do anything.
You don't need to
No,
do
like
shit.
I wouldn't even know what comedians on.
No, I don't even think they bring up comedians anymore. I mean,
They do.
No,
They
it's too much of a liability
Yeah.
for their
No, Fallon has like. So does Kimmel, actually. It's very few, but Fallon has more than Kimmel.
dude, speaking of Fallon, not Fallon, but Kimmel, do you see the feud between him and Aaron Rodgers? Jesus Christ.
Team Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my God, he's just shitting on freaking Kimmel, and all Kimmel's like, I'm going to sue you. For what? Your name's on the flight log.
Bro, legit, like, I don't get.
We don't want to get fined.
Yeah, let's not get taken down. All I'm going to say is anyone.
It's the beer talking.
Yeah. Island Boy is not the, what is it called? A good topic for YouTube.
No, not at all. Not at all. We can't be talking about
They're
that
super
stuff.
sensitive about that. But
That's why, I mean, I wish Rumble was big enough for us just to go do Rumble from here on out. But it's like no one has Rumble yet, except like people that are into politics and people that are into being free.
I'll give you guys an example
and loving free speech.
I'll give you guys an example of how audiences have gone soft. Okay, and this was how long ago was this? 2010.
By the way, not to cut you off, but do you know that Russell Brand has a show pretty much daily now?
I watch it,
and half his show he does on YouTube, and then he says, "Come on over to Rumble because I'm gonna talk about some stuff I can't talk out
Exactly.
here."
No, I know. I watch it. So I did a joke, and this is a true story. Yeah. Okay, we had a Korean neighbor who lived across the street from us, and he always had a new German Shepherd every year.
I know
the show.
It's true. I mean, we were like 10, 11 years old, and hey, Mr. Lee, what's the name of the dog? He goes, it's dog. Okay. I go, well, yeah, we know it's a dog. You have a name like Sparky, Hercules, just dog. Okay.
Don't build emotional attachment
Exactly.
to it. Yeah.
And a whole year passes. The dog would start barking every fucking night. And then all of a sudden, they'd have a massive party. And the next day, no barking.
Weird.
At the time, I'm 11, 12 years old, so I'm not really figuring out what's going on, right? So I go, hey, what happened with the dog, Mr. Lee? You go, oh, he got sick and died. 1 year old. Okay. So 8 months pass, a year pass, he gets another dog, German Shepherd again. And same thing, barking. Party with family, no more barking. So I turn to my dad, and I go, I think they're eating the fucking dog. All right, and we couldn't prove it, right? Yeah. So we go, Mr. Lee, what happened to this dog? Oh, he ran away. I'm like, okay. So now it hit me. It's like, you're not going to name a dog because when you name a dog, you humanize the dog. When you humanize a dog, it becomes part of the family. Yeah. No matter how hungry you are, you can't bring yourself to eating Sparky. But you wouldn't even blink twice about eating dog.
It's dog. Yeah.
So there was a Chinese girl in the club.
Yeah.
And she goes, that's a racist joke. And this is 2010. And
when it started,
when it first started. And I go, I'm sorry, did I offend you? She goes, well, you kind of did. I go, are you Korean? She goes, well, I'm Chinese. I go, well, how about you stop fucking eating dogs? Okay. And maybe I won't fucking make this joke anymore. Okay. And everybody started laughing. I go, actually, let's bring up Google. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to bring up Asians eating dogs. And all these things popped up. No. And I'm like, hey, you can do this yourself if you want. Yeah. So I'm just stating facts here, lady. I go,
no, yeah.
And that's it. And basically, I made her look like an idiot. 2010. If this was 2023, I'd be skewered. I'd be burned at the stake. Yeah. I'd be insensitive. Like all this
canceled.
shit. I'd be canceled.
You wouldn't even be able to sell cars.
So this is 13. Yeah, seriously. This is 13 years ago. Yeah. And the writing was on the wall back then. Now audiences want vanilla content.
Did we crap out again?
It said no. We're back.
Oh, okay, we're back.
It was lagging. I don't know why it lagged a little bit.
No, we're good. Okay, so to back up and you might be able to bring this up the next time you hop on stage and another Asian person. And Armenians are Asian, so it's
we're Asian minor.
We're Asian minor, whatever. We're still Asian, so we can talk about these things. My dad, when I was 14, took me up to Flagstaff with my mom.
You're from Sedona, you said, right?
Sedona, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Flagstaff is like our big town because they have a mall. We didn't have a mall, so or the mall, the Sam's Club, any sort of anything that you needed outside of.
How far away is it from Sedona?
Safeway. It's like depending on traffic, it's like anywhere from like a 35 to like hour drive.
It's not too far.
It's not too far. It's not. No, and the drive that you go up from Sedona to Flagstaff is one of the most beautiful drives in America.
Yeah, Sedona's actually a very beautiful town.
No, it's stunning. Like I really regret not appreciating it more as a kid and being a little shithead and being like, this place sucks. We don't have a mall. We don't have any cool. Like our movie theater only has 6 theaters, like 6 screens. Yeah, you go to LA, they have like 30.
But you guys get snow, dude.
We get snow, and we get the most beautiful snow.
Right.
It's like not dangerous. It's like a light dusting.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that, we're in Flagstaff. This is start of winter. I'm walking behind my parents in downtown Flagstaff, right? And my dad is a very Armenian dad, and the reason why I say is they'll say things completely and not think like I said something weird or like this is just like whatever.
They mouth fart.
Or it's like a mouth fart slash not even a mouth. It's like you didn't connect the two there.
Yeah.
So we're walking. My mom and dad are walking ahead of me. I'm walking behind. I'm like 14, so like whatever. But I do remember looking at them holding hands and walking through Flagstaff, and there's a light snow. And this is like, you're 14, so you're becoming an actual adult now, and you appreciate like when your parents are being romantic. And you're like, I was walking behind them. I've never
seen that.
Beirutis have zero romance.
I've never seen that in my life.
I'm sorry to say it, dude.
You know what? I'm happy.
You can't be romantic. The men, the women.
Dude, let me tell you the marriage advice I got from my friend's Beiruti uncle. It's like, Ara, do you like Angie? I go, yeah, I do. You want to marry her? Yeah. Very important to us. Asila say, remember this. Never ever hit your wife with a closed fist.
Bravo.
Hit her open hand. You make your point and doesn't leave a mark.
And he's like, I just gave this kid the best advice. He's going to have the most successful marriage now.
Yeah, sorry,
because of my charatner.
So back to your point about walking in and still holding hands.
I'm walking behind this adorable couple that is my parents, right? And they're laughing, they're thinking around. I'm smiling, I'm appreciating them. Right at that moment, my dad turns around and he goes, Matthew dear, do you see that restaurant over there, the Chinese restaurant? I look over and it's a Chinese restaurant, but it's closed. All the lights are off.